Welcome to episode 3 of my 6.9 episode series where I discuss 69 Xbox 360 game prices that are going up. Xbox 360 prices have been exploding, but it's still early days. You can still find these games for cheap. You can find them in the wild, but it's not always going to be like that. Look at every console, every generation before the 360 PS3 era. It happens to every console. What triggers these events is like the mass awakening event where the prices really start to skyrocket, which we are currently living. It's already started. What typically triggers these events is when the generation that grew up on those consoles hit an age where they have disposable income. And the kids that grew up on the Xbox 360, they're hitting the age where they have disposable income. In fact, I commonly buy from a guy that does that. He's 23, 24 years old. He's a young buck. Does laps around me. And his favorite console to collect for is a 360. He's going for a full set. That was his console. He grew up on that. I grew up on the NES. I'm an old man compared to him. And he's also going for the PS3. So let's get started. Let's start off with a frickin' banger. I'm bringing you 10 bangers. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, the 360 doesn't even have any $500 games or $1,000 games yet. We know that they're coming. They will come. Do you want to buy those games today for cheap, or are you going to wait 5 or 10 years and start forking over $500 for some of these games? I prefer to buy them today. It happens to every previous console. Every single one. Check out my previous episodes, number 1 and number 2. I give you some heavy bangers in there that I actually do think will make will be the first game to hit $500. Episode 1, game number 1. I'm pretty sure that was my big hitter, my big predictor that it'll be the first $500 game. They are coming. The 360 is so cheap right now. You guys have to understand that. Part 1, I went through 10. Part 2, I went through 10. We're on part 3 now. So this is number 30. I'm going to number them all as we go. Afro Samurai. Specifically with the slip cover. The slip cover is rather rare, especially in good condition. This is a slip cover. Okay, go look on eBay. 99 out of 100 postings does not have the slip cover, and if they do have the slip cover, it's in garbage condition. CIB, don't ever buy anything that's not CIB if you're a collector. So I already know what you're thinking. You're thinking, why did you put Afro Samurai on the list? And by the way, this is my OG original copy. I bought this at EB Games. Still has a side sticker on the slip cover. Might even have my original receipt in here. No, I don't. So here's the thing about Afro Samurai. The anime is one of the most underrated animes of all time. It's an American anime, by the way. Which also, I guess, helps explain that how the art style is very different. They called it an American anime. So I don't know if that means it was an entirely American team that made it or what the deal is. The anime is highly underrated. And so is the game. Insanely underrated. Great game for great anime. And I think that anime is going to continue to gain fame throughout the years, and so is the game. Let's pull up the chart. All right, so we have a pretty solid chart here, boys. As you can see, not that long ago, 2020, you could get this game for under $10. Roughly. This is all roughly prices. They don't always include shipping or taxes. $10. Nobody wanted this game. And it's not that nobody wanted it. I think it was that the fact that nobody knew it even existed. It had been long forgotten and just completely ignored. Well, we've had a little bit of an awakening since then, around that 2020 era, when all of the retro games started to really take off, right around that COVID time. And so she's tripled in price since then, but she's holding strong around 30 Canadian dollars. All these prices are in Canadian dollars. So she's been holding strong around this time period for quite some time. Sold listings are quite common, so it's not a super rare game that only one person buys per month. Several recent sold listings: May 16th, May 15th, May 12th, May 11th, May 7th, May 6th, May 6th, May 3rd, May 2nd, May 1st. Very common. So what kind of game is this? This is actually a 3D hack and slash game. It is not a AAA title, but it is a very unique title based on one of the most underrated best animes of all time. And that is why I'm predicting that this will go up in value. This is a noob-friendly game, which old-time gamers like me do appreciate, meaning the combat is not too fast-paced. And it's known for being incredibly gory. You can cut off the limbs of your opponents. Incredibly gory and incredibly bloody, just like the anime, which makes perfect sense. There was a Xbox One version planned that was canceled, and it sold decently well, half decently well. All I'm saying is that if you're interested in this game and you can get it for $30 today, I would jump on that immediately. This will be a $60 game before you know it. Do you want to pay $30 today, or do you want to pay $60 tomorrow? That's all I'm saying. Get it while it's cheap. Next up, we have a heavy hitter, boys. Silent Hill Downpour. Konami doing it big time. Silent Hill, one of the most famous game series of all time, especially in the survival horror genre. Silent Hill series has surpassed Resident Evil in terms of pure horror. Pretty sure they've made more Silent Hill games than they have even made Resident Evil games on top of that. So why is this going up? Well, it should be obvious, actually. Go look at every single previous Silent Hill game. Every single one from the previous generation consoles. In fact, let's do it together. So here we are. Let's look at all the previous Silent Hill games, because guess what? Every single one of them goes up. This is a no frickin' brainer. PlayStation 1, Silent Hill OG, $250. PlayStation 2, Silent Hill 2, which they sold a crap ton of copies. This is not a rare game. Yet here it is, trading at $167 Canadian. It's not even rare. Silent Hill 3. That's not particularly rare. What's going on here? $215. And that's if you can even get it for that price. Does that include shipping and taxes? What's the condition of that game? Can you get a good condition copy for that price? Silent Hill 4. A little bit more rare. $165 on the PS2. Silent Hill Origins, here we go, $150. Silent Hill Shattered Memories. Now that one is a little bit more rare as well. Also a really freaking good game. I have it on the Wii, thank goodness. I got it for cheap because you know what? I like to buy my games cheap before they go to $435. How about that? Bet you wish you bought that 3 years ago. 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Bet you wish you bought that one. I'm guessing you never did. So what are we looking at now? Well, Silent Hill Downpour, Xbox 360, currently trading at $65. You could have got it for $16 not that long ago. Why didn't you buy it then? Because now you're paying $67 recent sold listing. From today, from the day I record this. $60 recent sold listing, $67, $60, $87. That was probably a really good condition copy. Basically $90, $70, $56, $66, $70. You get the picture. This is Silent Hill Downpour. And there's one other thing that you should be aware of when it comes to this game. Unlike the previous title, Silent Hill Homecoming, which focused more on the combat and less on the horror exploration aspect of Silent Hill, which is what makes Silent Hill actually Silent Hill and actually good. This game brought it back to the old school roots. Silent Hill Downpour brought her back, and by the way, this is 3D compatible. You get 3D glasses with a 3D TV. And I actually, as a side note, I believe all of the 3D compatible games will go up in value, and I think they're very unique because they don't make games like that anymore. It was a product of its time. Very, very unique to have the ability to play in 3D wearing those 3D glasses. And Sony made some very high quality 3D glasses, because I've actually heard that third-party ones on Amazon are garbage. So there is a difference in quality when it comes to actually getting the 3D glasses. So Silent Hill Downpour returned the game back to the survival, horror, and exploration roots, which is why this particular version will go up significantly higher in value than Silent Hill Homecoming. So this is the one that you want to get. If you have to pick one Silent Hill game, this is the one. It got mixed reviews at the time, but they were overall positive for that reason. The combat sometimes got bashed a little bit, that the combat didn't execute very well and it wasn't very good. But who cares? It did everything else really well. And by the way, have you looked at all the previous Silent Hill games? Did I mention that? Because this one's going to 200 as well, just like all the other ones are going to 200. It's basically guaranteed. Here's a game that you may have frequently heard me talk about. 50 Cent, Blood on the Sand. Blood on the Sand, bitch. 50 frickin' cent. Did I mention 50 Cent? Blood on the Sand. Did I mention that, by the way? Because guess what? This game's going to 500 smackers. CIB, of course. And this is an odd one because guess what? The 360 version is worth more than the PS3 version. And usually it's the other way around. And this is one of those rare exceptions where the 360 is worth more. Why that is, I'm actually not sure. I know it was pulled from the download store. And the fact that it was pulled from the stores and it will never return, I can just about guarantee you that. That's part of what caused it to spike up in price. Because you know it's never going to return because there's going to be licensing issues with this music. It has 18 exclusive tracks. And how many other 50 Cent songs? There's like 50 Cent songs in here. Okay, 40 plus tracks. Plus 9 classic music videos featuring 50 and G Unit. Yeah, this ain't coming back to the store. You ever want to see this game ever again in your entire life, you're going to have to get physical. Physical versions right here. It's an Xbox 360 and PS3 exclusive. This isn't going to get re-released. And this is a great game too, by the way. Friggin' awesome game. It really only has one flaw, which is that 2-player was only available online. So you can't do co-op console co-op. It's a funny game. It's meant to be light on the story. It's meant to be a little bit funny. It's a third-person shooter, and they improved in every possible way over the previous 50 Cent game, Bulletproof, which was for the PS2 and the Xbox OG. They improved every single aspect. It was released in 2009. Let's have a look at that chart. So here you can see October 2021, right? Effectively, right after that, it had this monster run up. Absolute monster run. I think this was when they delisted it from the store. And you'll see it's come down since then. So price, but it's held up strong. So this dip looks bigger than it actually is, because again, like I said, price starting's not perfect. So on the actual chart, the chart needs time to catch up, because the chart's almost acting as if you can actually get this game for $70 CIB, which you cannot. It's physically impossible. Impossible. Recent sold listings? Oh, what's that? $115 plus tax, probably plus shipping. This one's disc only. Oh yeah, CIB. This is what we want. Oh yeah, look at that CIB. This CIB one ended up in the loose listings, so we would have missed that one otherwise. Because now we're at the CIB listings. $110, $80. Game in case. Oh, you're missing the manual. Good luck getting it for $80 CIB. It ain't gonna happen. $95 Canadian, $115 Canadian, $50, that was probably loose disc only. $95, $110, $99. You get the idea. Oh, look at this, $134 sold listing. That one was probably in good condition. What was the condition on this $95 copy down here? Probably garbage. This game's going to 500 smackers. 500 smackers. You heard it here first. I'm telling you, if you want this game and you don't want to pay 500, you might want to consider getting it. I'm bringing it to you for a reason. I'm telling you about it because it's going to 500 smackers Canadian. And by the way, the game was actually a commercial failure, which is really interesting. When they say commercial failure, I assume that means they legitimately lost money, because there was a sequel planned and they canceled it. It sold 56,000 copies in the US. That's actually quite low for what it is. Like, I looked at some of the Armored Core games, they all sold like 90,000 plus, every single one of them. So 56,000's pretty low for a game that they expected to, basically be like a AAA title. 56,000's pretty low. And it's a fun game. It's got funny bosses, helicopter bosses, for example. Fight a friggin' helicopter. You can fight on foot. You're fighting in vehicles. You're shooting turrets while driving vehicles. Like, they really tried to spice up the gameplay. They really did try to create something that was gonna be good. They had high expectations for this thing. They thought they were gonna make a sequel. Sticking with that rap theme, thought this one might be fitting. Def Jam Icon. This was the very last game made in the Def Jam series. Oh, look at that. There's a receipt in here. Let's find out what the owner paid. Oh, he bought a ton of stuff. Okay. Holy hell, man. Holy. This guy paid $19.99 from Blockbuster, right in Nanaimo, British Columbia. Wow, that's crazy. I'm trying to find out what year it was. 2008. See if the camera will pick that up. He bought Rambo. National Treasure 2. Meet the Spartans unrated. I don't know what that is. Stargate Arc of Truth Director's Cut. He used a coupon. Oh, hell yeah, bro. This guy picked up some good stuff, man. Rambo 4. What a classic. This guy knows his stuff. Music is your weapon. Yeah, so why is this game going up? Because the previous Def Jam game is worth a fortune, and I think that this one is underrated. The previous Def Jam Fight for New York is known to be the best Def Jam. As you can see, Def Jam New York for GameCube is going for 250. PlayStation version going for 200. Is that game better than this one? Yes, it is. Is it significantly better? Arguably, yes, it is. Those games were more akin to a wrestling game, and that's where they messed up on the 360 version slash the PS3 version. They messed up because this game is more akin to a boxing game mixed with a beat 'em up. But it is very unique because you're supposed to time your moves with the beats of the music. So when certain things happen in certain songs, the beats can affect the environment of the game. So if you say throw your opponent into a certain area of the arena as a certain beat is dropping, maybe every fourth beat. I'm not a musical expert here, but when a certain beat drops and you throw your opponent into that area, something big will happen. Maybe something will collapse on them, something will blow up. But you're supposed to time your moves with the beat. So if I'm hitting you and combo, I can combo you if I'm punching you to the beat, and I'll get extra damage bonuses for doing that. So they really tried to make it unique, and there's a lot of heavy hitter rappers in here, just like the previous version. There's a lot of Wu-Tang rappers in here. There's Ghostface Killah, Method Man. They got a lot of OGs in here. They got Lil Jon. They got Sticky Fingers. They got all the greats. And for that reason alone, I think it's going to go up. It's going to at least 100. And you can get it today for cheap. And the other thing is, I think it got bashed a little bit too much, because it was so heavily compared to Def Jam Fight for New York, and I think that's an unfair comparison. I think it got unfairly bashed. That's, it's almost impossible to make a game to make it any better than its previous version. They tried to do something unique, and I guess the market was demanding a clone of the previous version, just I guess with better graphics and a couple of new characters. And that's not what the market got. But I think the market will come back to this game in the future, and they'll say, hey guys, this isn't that bad of a game. This is, maybe it's not as good as Def Jam Fight for New York, but it's a pretty awesome game, and it needs to be worth a lot more than it is today. Because today it's sitting at about $30 Canadian. It's worth a hell of a lot more than that, I'll tell you that right now. Chart's not looking too bad either. You used to be able to get it for $11. And did you listen to what I said earlier? We're in the early days of the rise of the 360. Look at every previous console before. What do you think this is going to look like in 5 years? You think that this is going to be sitting at $30 in 5 years? Or do you think it's going to be sitting at $100? Perhaps $150 in 5 years? I think it'll be a lot closer to 100. So do you want to pay 30 today, or do you want to pay 65 tomorrow? Do you want to pay $69? Is that what you'd like to pay? Because I think you'd like to pay $69. I know some of you out there would love to pay $69. Def Jam icon. Hidden gem. Total hidden gem. Completely ignored by the market. Oh, that was number 34, I think. So now we're on number 35. Backbreaker. And I know what you're thinking. If you've heard of this game, you're thinking, what the hell? That's a football game. For starters, you're wondering why a football game is on this list. And then you're also wondering, well, wait a minute. Backbreaker doesn't even have any NFL teams. Well, you're right. It doesn't. Because Madden stole the license for it. So they couldn't get any NFL teams. But you know what they do have? They have over 50 teams that they created themselves, and you can add in your own. You can make your own teams with the logos and everything. They spent a lot of time on the editor. You can have over 90 teams in this game. How many teams are in the NFL? Can you do that in your Madden game? And you know what else they did? They tried to make things very unique. So let's read the back here. True next generation football. This is where the uniqueness comes in. This is like their main claim to fame. This is how they describe it at the back of the box. True next generation football, intense on-field camera puts you right into the action like never before. Finally experience real football on your Xbox 360. So they're talking about this on-field camera. This game is all about the camera angles. They try to give you different views and a different way of experiencing a football game. And this game, it got mixed reviews. Some of the reviews were quite bad. But some of the reviews told it like it is, how it was this close to becoming a masterpiece. And imagine if they did have NFL teams. Maybe it wouldn't have gotten bad reviews. Maybe it wouldn't have been ignored by the market. The other thing about this game is it had a really unique mini game, which is like a mini arcade game. Arcade specifically. The mini game is you're basically a running back starting on one end of the field trying to get a touchdown. And there's 100 levels. So it's like Robotron 64. Okay? There's 100 levels and you're just trying to pull off combos. So if you do a certain juke and different football moves, you rack in points as well, by the way. And the bigger your combo, the more points you get. And as each level progresses, it gets harder and harder, and there'll be more and more players on the field trying to tackle you. And if you get tackled, you lose a life. And this can also be played in two-player mode, by the way. And in two-player mode, you're not doing co-op. You're just in that mode. You're basically adding up your points. Who can get more points, like a Tony Hawk type of thing? Who can get more points? And as you can see, you used to be able to get it for $10. It's triple the price today, $32 Canadian. Started its run up around that 2019, October 2019, the first run up. Then we had the COVID run up. Oh, it didn't have a massive COVID run up, but it did have a huge run up somewhere around November 2021. I don't know what caused that. Maybe it was delisted from the online store. Maybe something happened. Maybe a big YouTuber called the game out. Maybe Metal Jesus maybe made a video. I don't know what caused that. It's very interesting to see, but it's leveled out since then. But it's still not a cheap game. Look at this sold listing going for $40, $33, $40 again, $25. $40, $37, $35. So it's creeping its way up to that $40 level. So pretty soon you won't be able to get it for less than $40. It's a slow and steady riser. Is this going to be $500? No. But I do think that you could probably get a copy for cheap. Perhaps you could get one for $30 before it goes to $50. If this type of game interests you, check it out, because you just never know. This might be one of those rare games. There's no way that this sold a lot of copies. There is no frickin' way that this game sold well. I don't believe it. It doesn't even have NFL teams. It would have got outshined by your Maddens and probably even your 2K8 All-Star Football. This just happens to be one of those very unique original games that probably barely anybody even knows about. Now imagine what's going to happen if Metal Jesus makes a video about this game. This might go to $100. But on the other hand, if you like cheap fun, awesome, unique games that you can get for $30, maybe $35, and it's going to $50, $60, then check it out. I highly recommend it. I think it's a very unique little gem that you won't regret. Number 36, F.E.A.R. the First Encounter. Assault Recon. This is, in my opinion, the best of the F.E.A.R. franchise. This is the OG. It sold well. So it's not particularly rare. Certainly not rare, I can tell you that much. But some of these games that sell well, they can still go up in value. Have you looked at Silent Hill? Have you looked at some of the Resident Evil games, including Resident Evil 4, which I didn't think would ever get a friggin' run in price like it's gotten? This is a first-person shooter survival horror. And horror games hold their value very well. Good horror games hold their value and they typically go up in value. Even the bad ones. Horror games and RPGs do particularly well. It's the way it's always been. Don't ask me why, it's just the way it is. Probably because they're good games. And they have cult followings. People love these genres. What you're looking at right here is a psychological horror heavily influenced by Japanese horror. So the first thing you'll notice is that it had a huge run-up around that October 2021 mark, which if you remember correctly, this was when the Xbox Store pulled some listings down so that you couldn't download these anymore. There's a handful of games that this happened to. F.E.A.R. wasn't the only one. There's a large list of games. Probably 50 Cent was on there too. So they pulled it from the store, which caused the initial spike. It's leveled off since then, and it's done what I would call a very clear bottom. This has bottomed out. It's not going lower. It's only going up from here. And it's going to go right back to the level it used to be, if not significantly higher. In fact, it will go significantly higher. But it's leveled off. Recent sold listings going for $27, $33, $33, $33, $31, $29. So it's clearly bottomed at around $30. So I'm going to read you a quote here. One of the creators of F.E.A.R. said that his goal with F.E.A.R.'s horror elements was to achieve a subtle and cerebral type of dread, emphasizing suspense and the shadows. Believing that scares always worked best when you're not expecting it. Monolith attempted to keep the psychology of the encounter in the player's mind at all times, in order to, quote, get under the player's skin. And for that reason, they shunned the in-your-face monsters jumping out of closets approach. So they shunned that jump scare. Screw the jump scare, which I really think is pretty dang unique. They were thinking outside the box. Let's do something a little different. Lead level designer John Mulkey states that creating expectation and then messing with that expectation is extremely important. Similarly, Hubert explains that horror is extremely fragile. You can kill it by spelling things out too clearly, and you can undermine it with too much ambiguity. With this in mind, he attempted to strike a balance with the narrative elements of F.E.A.R., giving players enough clues so that they can form their own theories about what's going on, but ideally, they will be left with some uncertainty. So I just wanted to read that kind of some of the quotes from the creators, just to kind of let you know the uniqueness of the game. Which brings us to the next beast. You might have expected this one, F.E.A.R Files, which is the complete standalone expansion to F.E.A.R number 1. But this one is an Xbox 360 exclusive. You ain't going to find this on your PS3. Get your PS3 out of here. We're talking Xbox 360. We don't want to hear about your PS3. And I have a PS3 too. I collect for PS3 too. But PS3 doesn't have this bad boy right here. And for that reason alone, and by the way, this is an expansion. Although it's a standalone expansion, I can guarantee you this didn't sell half the dang copies that the OG F.E.A.R sold. Which also means this is going up in price. That's what that means. That's what that translates to. It's a no-brainer. And as you can see at the chart here, we had that huge spike when this was delisted from the online stores. That's what caused that spike. And I had a viewer help me find that out in the past, I do believe. And I did some research on that, and they did a mass, they pulled like, I don't know, 10 games from the store. It must have been late October of 2021. There's a very specific date where they just delisted a whole bunch of games. And this game is never coming back to the store ever again. I can tell you that right now. These F.E.A.R games, F.E.A.R 1 and 2, there's licensing issues with these. Who published these? That says Sierra. Sierra. You see that? Well, they only published the first 2 F.E.A.R games. And then it went to Warner Brothers. I don't know why that is. I don't know what the deal is on who owns the rights to what, how that could ever get published again, but obviously the rights ran out. So you're not going to find that again. So if you're interested, you might as well pick it up. Because just like the other F.E.A.R, this one's bottoming out. It's already bottomed. You can't get it for $30 anymore. You can't even, you'd be lucky, you'd be hard pressed to get it for $40. Recent sold listing, $50. $40, $40, $40, $40, $40, $40, $40, round up. You know, I'm rounding up $40. The last 10 sales have been $40. Look at this, $53 for that one, $44, $40. You're not going to get it for cheap anymore. She's bottomed out. Just a matter of time before this goes to $100. Where she stops, nobody knows. I'm just telling you right now, $50 is a pretty fair price for a gem like this. The Cursed Crusade. This is an Atlas title. And some of you out there are thinking, why the hell is this game on the list? This game sucks. Well, whether a game sucks or not is in the eye of the beholder. And a lot of reviewers, they're not even real gamers and they don't give the game a chance. The reviewers back in the day, even to this current day, don't go by what professional reviewers say. And yeah, this got bad reviews. It got scores as low as 2 out of 10. It's not a AAA title. Quit going into this expecting God of War. This is not God of War. This had a significantly lower budget. This is a medieval third-person hack and slash game. Okay. With a very unique feature. It's 2-player co-op. For the campaign, the entire campaign, you can play 2-player co-op. And you can do co-op-based attacks and co-op-based healing. So it really promotes the fact that, hey, this is co-op. Team up with your buddy. Team up together and you're going to be able to do cool things together. By teaming up, you know, it's promoting or trying to make it so that you don't just go off on your own and slaughter everything by yourself. Because guess what? It's split screen as well, which I thought was really interesting. Split frickin' screen. Co-op. So you're not confined to the map together. You know, you can kind of branch out. You don't have to worry about being on the same screen together. I thought that was kind of unique. It's an Atlas title, so it didn't print a lot of copies. Atlas took a lot of risks back in the day, and they still do. But they're famous for publishing games that typically, or in many cases, no other publisher would publish. So that's probably what happened here. No other game publisher was willing to take a chance on this game. And so they probably approached Atlas or vice versa. And Atlas said, yeah, you know what? We'll take a chance on it. We think it's unique. We think it's pretty cool. It's got awesome 2-player co-op. Let's give her a low print run so that there's not really much risk for us. And see what happens. And some Atlas titles, they typically go up in value. Even the bad Atlas games. There's a lot of bad Atlas RPGs out there, Not all of them are good. But the price went up significantly. Price goes up. I think that this is just a unique gem. You can get it for dirt cheap. Let's look at the chart. Pull up the chart. Chart's barely done anything. Bottomed around $6 back in 2020. You could have got this for $6 CIB. $6 back in March 2020. Hasn't done much yet, but that's good news for you. That's what you want to hear if you are interested in this game. And if you have a buddy to play this co-op, even better. Because guess what? Let's compare it to the PS3 version. Remember how I said the PS3 version typically goes up first? Well, the Xbox 360, it's going to follow. It's going to follow the PS3 counterpart. I'm telling you, it's going to take longer, but it's going to follow. And this one did make an increase. This used to be $10, around that same time frame. Well, now it's sitting at about $25. Recent sold listings, $23, $26, $31, $31. $23, $20, $33, $31, creeping up to that $30 mark. How much longer until you can't get it for under $30? How much longer until all of a sudden $40 is the new minimum amount that you'll ever get it for? How much longer until $50? How much longer until the 360 version catches up and becomes a $30 game? So all I'm saying is if you're looking for an awesome game for $10 that has the potential to go to $50, this might be what you're looking for. And speaking of medieval RPG style games, Lost Odyssey, published by Microsoft, is a JRPG, classic old school JRPG for the Xbox 360 that I think is going to go up in value because guess what? There's just not a lot of RPG options on the 360, and RPGs typically hold their value. And this can be bought for cheap today. It's a very awesome, very underrated game. It sold decently well in Japan, but I don't think it sold very well here in North America. And guess who did the music for this game? This is 4 CDs, by the way. Xbox 360 exclusive. Did I mention that it's an Xbox 360 exclusive? What does that mean? It means the price is going up. You're not going to find this on your PS3. Probably the reason Microsoft published it is because they were desperately trying to get RPGs. They published Blue Dragon as well. 360 lacked RPGs, and a lot of the RPGs kind of got ignored by the market. I don't know why that is. Maybe all the RPG fans had PlayStation 3s. Well, that, things like this go up over time. When people go back to these consoles in the future, happens all the time. All the games that got ignored, all the underrated gems, they all go up in value. And you can get them all for cheap right now today. I love RPGs. I bought every single RPG on the whole freaking console. I own every single one. Because they're all cheap. I got them all for cheap. And look at this. So trading around $30 according to price charting, $27.74. Back in 2020, you could have got it for between $10 and $15. Oh, it's been creeping up actually ever since 2019. It used to be $10 2019. Why didn't you buy it when it was $10? Now you're paying 30. Hell, I should have bought it when it was 10. I think I paid 25 for mine. 20 or 25, I think. Yeah, so it used to be about $10. Friggin' rip roaring tear higher from 2019 until 2021. Up 150%. It's leveled off since then. Leveling off, but for how much longer? Hell, this might even be the beginning of the next leg up to what, $35, $40? How much longer until YouTubers start talking about this game? How much longer until the market realizes that there's some awesome RPGs on the Xbox 360 that are completely exclusive and that you can get for cheap? 4 CDs. The music in this game was made by Nobuo Uematsu, the greatest composer of all time. I've mentioned his name 100 times. He also composed the music for Blue Dragon. This is the guy that made the early Final Fantasy music. Final Fantasy VI for the Super Nintendo. Final Fantasy III for the Super Nintendo. The best music of all time. This guy is a modern Mozart, a modern Bach, and a modern Dr. Dre merged together. All of their brains combined to create some sort of freak alien that will never be replicated ever again in history. When this man dies, music dies with him. You'll never get better music. Never in history will they ever make better music than the music that that man has created. Everything he touches is automatically gold. So for that reason alone, you should basically go buy this game. Just for that alone, and I'm not even kidding. I'll buy any game that this man created music for. I'll automatically buy it, and the price is automatically going to go up. Final game, guys, number 40. Oh, you know what? I just realized my math was off this whole time. I'm filming at 2 a.m., okay? Can you cut me some slack? This is episode 3, so all of these games are numbers between 20 and 30. So, number 30, okay? Number 30. It's 2 a.m. I'm filming at 2 a.m. I gotta work in the morning. I gotta be up in the morning. Who else films at 2 a.m.? I'm legally insane. You got a problem with that? Take it up with my boss that hired me, that doesn't know that I'm legally insane and that I'm filming at 3 a.m. Well, practically 3 a.m. anyway. Onechanbara Bikini Samurai Squad. And if you're familiar with this game, some of you out there sitting there, you're thinking right now, you're like, wait a minute, I've heard of this game. I heard that it sucked. Well, you heard wrong. Whoever told you that obviously doesn't like bikini wearing ladies with samurai swords. And that was your first hint that the person was wrong. This is called Onechanbara Bikini Samurai Squad. I saw this at EB Games back in the day, and I actually ignored it. I thought it was a very low budget. I don't know, the cover didn't do it for me, even though the lady's super hot in a very sexy bikini with a samurai sword. I just felt like something was off. But I always looked at it like, you know, I kind of wanted to buy it, but it just didn't do it for enough for me. I said, well, I'm going to spend my money elsewhere. I'm going to buy Afro Samurai instead. And so I could never bite the bullet, but I also didn't understand what the game was because the back of the game doesn't tell you. The back of the game just says sexy samurai sisters, our final hope. And then it says battle zombies across an infected city, non-stop combat and swordplay, unlock costumes and more in dress-up mode, 2-player multiplayer action. It tells you nothing about the story. It doesn't really tell you what type of game it is. It practically tells you nothing. All you see are two sexy ladies, and you know that you probably fight zombies. Or you do know that you fight zombies. That's all you know. And that's probably why I never bought it back in the day. But that's all you need to know. You don't need to know anything else. All you need to know is that you have a Bikini Samurai squad, you fight zombies, and it's 2-player co-op. That's all you need to know. And that's all it needs to be. And that's all it is. It's mindless fun. And that's what it was designed to be. I understand that now. I didn't understand that back then, which is why I think this game is only now starting to get the recognition that it deserves. It's not a garbage game. It's a friggin' awesome game, and people are waking up to that fact. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. In fact, I don't even need to prove it to you because the chart proves it to you. This was a $15 game back in March 2020. You don't think the market's waking up to what this is? Look at that chart. Look at it. Put your diaper on and look at it. $15. Well, guess what it is today? $52. Recent sold listings going as high as $60.72. $52, $40. This one here probably wasn't even CIB, or it was piss poor condition. $53. $53, $53, $53, $57. Well, it's basically $60. You're not going to find it for cheaper than $50. $50 is quickly becoming the new floor. And it's going to $100. Where she stops, nobody knows. This entire franchise has been taking off. It's been getting more and more popular. And I think people are going to go back to these older versions as the franchise continues to get more popular. Mindless and endless 2-player co-op action. Two sexy ladies slicing down zombies and shooting them up with some guns too. They like to mix it up. And did I mention that this is an Xbox 360 exclusive? What do we say about exclusives? The price is going up. I'm telling you right now, the price is going up. I'm telling you. You can choose to act on that information and accept that information, or you can choose to be in denial. If you choose to be in denial, this is what's going to happen. You're going to wake up one day, zoom out 5 years from now, where what you're looking at right now looks like a much smaller blimp in time. And this trend is going to continue. Xbox 360 is in such early days. Us longtime collectors, we understand that. But there's younger kids just coming into the hobby in the last 1, 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, every week there's some new young kid getting into the hobby. They don't fully understand it. But if they go back and they look at history, they'll be able to grasp it. Because guess what? When us old timers got into collecting, we didn't have the history. There was no history of game collecting. We were the OGs. We didn't know it was going to become what it is today. In fact, when I started collecting originally, I didn't even know I was collecting. I didn't know I was a collector. I was just really interested in buying old video games. But I didn't even know that there was a name for that hobby, which is a video game collector. I didn't know that at the time. I thought I was, one of the few and only people that were into that sort of thing. And we didn't have the internet to tell us and show us the history in these charts. We didn't have 20 years of history to look back on to see all the previous gen consoles. Like the NES was the first major console that people started collecting for. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something new. And I hope you understand that Xbox 360 games are still fairly cheap. It's a really good time to be into the hobby. for consoles like the 360 and even the PS3, because the games can still be bought for good prices, very fair prices. I'd pay $50 for this. Absolutely, I would. I might have even paid $50 for it. I don't remember. If you enjoyed this content, please consider smashing the like button and subscribing to the channel, because I am trying to get to over 9,000 subscribers, on my way to collecting over 9,000 video games. Why am I doing that? Well, if it should be pretty obvious. I'm clearly legally insane, and I have a strong suspicion that they're trying to lock me up into the insane asylum. The Canadian Secret Intelligence Service has been trying to lock me up for the past 20 years. But in order to lock me up in the insane asylum, they've got to find me. And I keep a low profile.